So I really didn't for a long time until I came up with the idea for Merge. Well, rewinding back, so I started coding at a pretty young age. I was really interested in like understanding how to become like a great engineer and went to college studying computer science. But I think pretty quickly when I started meeting a lot of other really smart people, it was clear I probably wasn't going to be the best software engineer in the world. And I also had a clear gap of understanding what business concepts looked like. I didn't understand how to read financial statements. I couldn't really evaluate if an idea was good or not. And so while I was in college, I decided I wanted to fill in those gaps and go into finance. And so I went down the route of investment banking, worked at Credit Suisse. It was a great experience there, worked really hard for 2 years and really learned a lot from like the basics of business. And after that, went down the traditional path, pursued private equity, but it allowed me to move to San Francisco. So joined Silver Lake's growth equity fund. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of founders in those days because they were pitching for growth investments. And I also learned a lot from that experience too, from like what the VC angle looked like. But I think one gap that I realized was I didn't actually understand what it was like to work at a company. I was only seeing it in a model, and I was also just hearing it anecdotally. And I felt like it was another really big gap in my knowledge, and I wanted to just get my hands dirty and work at a startup. So I started interviewing, networked with some people from college, and got the opportunity to be chief of staff to the CEO at Expanse, which back then was called KDM. And that was a fantastic opportunity. I worked directly with the CEO. I saw everything. I worked with all the different departments in the business. And it was such a great learning experience because Tim, the CEO, was probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. And he really spent a lot of time mentoring me, teaching me a lot, and explaining why he was making certain decisions and what was going on in the business. And that's how I ended up coming into the issue of integrations, because around 2019 in cybersecurity, a lot of companies were starting to add ticketing integrations to their products. And we actually didn't have any integrations at the time. And it was starting to impact our sales team because the sales team was losing deals, even though we had the best product in the market, just purely based on integrations. And it didn't really seem fair. So we started trying to build out these integrations by hiring a team, but that was super expensive for our R&D line and our P&L. And it took us also a long time to launch the first few integrations. So I think seeing it from a business perspective, I started trying to dig in on why this is such a big problem and why it was so hard. And I was very lucky that one of my best friends from college was head of engineering in a recruiting tech company, very different industry, but running into the same exact problem with recruiting integrations. And he was able to see why it was so difficult from an engineering and product perspective.